Hey everyone, I'm Jackie Rico, the Idaho Off-Grid Realtor. Um, Obviously, as you can see, I'm here at my 40-acre property in Cascade, Idaho. It is absolutely gorgeous, regardless of it being overcast today. But I wanted to talk a little bit about solar panels, because a lot of you might not even be off-grid. A lot of you might just be living in a regular home connected to, regular power source like Idaho Power, for example, which is the main Idaho company here. But are solar panels worth it? Are they going to increase the value of your home? Is it going to be a selling point? Maybe. So this is the second property that I've had solar panels at. My previous property was not off-grid. It was a 5-acre property in Emmett, Idaho. And we did have solar. However, we did it a little differently both times. The first time we did it in Emmett, we actually had a company that, one of those normal everyday door knocking and, oh, hey, we've got this solar system to sell you kind of situation. Here's what you're going to be saving over time, etc., which is great. Those companies are rock stars. They definitely help, especially if you don't have the know-how to install something like this yourself, or somebody who's an electrician or want to hire it out, etc. However, it is way more expensive that way. We have a huge system now comparatively to what we had in Emmett, and it cost us a fraction of the cost of actually having a company come out and do it for us. So with our old system, we had close to the same amount of solar panels as we do today, but not quite as many. We had probably about, I want to say 30 solar panels to our now 36 panel system. So we had a little bit less, and it was great. Basically, it hooked up to the grid, and it had the inverters. So they were able to connect that way. And essentially, the way it used to work with Idaho Power is they would credit your account for the amount of solar that you create. So in the summertime, it was awesome because you were creating the most amount of solar possible because the sun was out more. Everything was great. However, it helped lower the bill for sure. And then those credits in the winter months would apply. So it was really good. It was worth it. And I think it was a huge selling point when I sold the property in Emmett. However, did it sell for more? Not really. Maybe if I had paid off those solar panels earlier, or if I hadn't have spent so much on it. I'm just going to let you in on a little secret. It wasn't cheap. It was about, I think, 55 grand is what we came into it with for buying it from that company. And we only got the solar panels, the inverter, that was about it. They hooked it up to Idaho Power. They pulled the permits, that kind of deal. So it was pretty expensive. I mean, 55 grand is quite a bit. But, in the end, when I sold that place, one of the things that the buyers wanted is they wanted the benefits of the solar, but they didn't want to pay for it. So one of the things that I had to negotiate on my end as the seller is I had to pay off those solar panels so that the buyers could, take advantage of that. Is that something that happens all the time? No, absolutely not. Sometimes you get buyers that they don't mind taking over the contract of the solar panels, but most buyers aren't going to want to do that. They're just not. They want the advantage of the solar without paying for it. They want to own the solar panels. They don't want to pay on a monthly basis to have the solar panels plus have those savings, because they kind of negate themselves to some degree, at least for the first little while. You're paying your electrical bill when you do have an electrical bill on top of the solar panel payments. Now, it might even be less than your typical average electrical bill throughout the months, but here in Idaho, we don't get a whole lot of sun in the wintertime. I mean, today, it's actually sunny enough, surprisingly, even though it's overcast, for us to be charging our batteries. That's another thing. We're completely off grid here. We do not have a hookup to power. We have our solar panels as our main source of power, our batteries that they charge and that we run off of on a regular basis. And then we have a huge generator for all the days that we don't experience the sun as much, mostly during the winter time. And with our setup, we don't have to run the generator as much, but we still do have to run it. But looking at these solar panels, you know, I've got 36 here. Okay. So keep in mind, I paid a company 55 grand for my last solar setup, which did not include batteries, did not include a generator or anything of that nature. With this solar setup, we have 2 stacks of batteries. Now, we didn't buy both stacks right away. We bought the first stack the very first year we moved out here. And then the second stack we actually just bought at the end of the last year. So both battery stacks were about 7 to 6K, okay? That included the cart and everything that they go on. Our solar panels and everything else, like when we bought it as a package deal, I mean, honestly, between the solar panels and all of the stuff that we bought, including the generator, we spent approximately 15 grand. So yeah, huge savings when you buy all the stuff yourself. Now, where that might come in handy is if you know somebody that's an electrician that can set it up, or if you have knowledge yourself. You're still going to have to pull permits, typically, depending on which area you live in. Here in Idaho, you know, depending on the area, typically you'll have to pull permits. It's a non-negotiable most times. However, you can do it yourself. You just have to have somebody licensed come out and look at it and okay it for it to be part of the permit. But as long as you're doing it for your own property, you're allowed to do certain things here in Idaho yourself. They just have to be verified by somebody who is licensed. But if you don't have the know-how, you know, I'm not sure how much it would cost for somebody else to do it, but just the savings alone for doing it yourself, or to purchase the products yourself and have somebody else install it for you that isn't like related to a solar company, is going to be a huge benefit. I wish I would have known this when I did my first system, but you know, I was really new to the whole solar concept and everything, and I just wanted it done, and I thought it was a great contribution. So think about that too, because you know, it's still an expensive cost. It may be easier to go with one of those companies and get the financing and deal with that, but at the end of the day, you're not going to make more on your home typically if you have solar. It just makes it so that it's more, I don't know, the sellers just like it. They like the buyers just like it. They like the idea of having the solar panels and the off-grid abilities, things like that. So that's one thing. But being off-grid, personally, this was so much cheaper than even hooking up to Idaho Power. I mean, we're about 1,000 feet from the road, so, you know, that's quite a ways. And where we wanted power hooked up, even if we dug the line ourselves, Idaho Power wanted to charge us like 13 to 15 grand just for that. So honestly, yeah, we don't have like a, you know, it's not super reliable like Idaho Power would be, but at the same time, out here where I live in Cascade, it's not reliable anyways. There's so many times where the power goes off, you know, when you're hooked up to Idaho Power. So what's the difference really? We've got a generator for days that we don't get a lot of sun. And like I said, even today, it's overcast. It's kind of cloudy, but our batteries are already almost 100% charged. So I think it's worth it personally to have it if you're going to be off grid like we are. But then again, is it worth it to go through a big company, or would it be better to do like what we did and do it all yourselves? So I'm just going to leave you with that information. And yeah, my cat, apparently she heard me and is sneaking over my way to come say hi. That's Raven. So anyway, I just wanted to leave you with that, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and like, subscribe, and comment for more.